Hi, everybody. This is Lowell, and we're talking about songwriting. And the first part of songwriting that I think is really important and not to discount is to become aware of your surroundings, basically your motivation, your audience. Um, uh, what are you writing the song for? I've written many songs for worship, but I've also written a lot of songs for other things, like for weddings, funerals. I've written a lot of different material and also in different styles. So, what is your audience? Most likely, you are going to be benefited and blessed by uh, music that you like. And so from that music that you like, you're going to write to serve and to benefit other people in that same venue. Kind of the do unto others as you would have them do unto you kind of golden rule type of scenario. And so I think it's really important to identify, what instruments, what group am I writing for? I remember writing a wedding song for a friend, and he was going to have a brass quintet at his wedding. And so I wrote the song for brass quintet and voice. Another setting, I wrote a wedding song that was needed to be simplistic with just guitar. And then other times I've written essentially full scores for a lot of instruments, or just piano, or whatever, or rhythm section. So as a composer and songwriter, what I do, and maybe I'm unique in this, maybe I'm not, but I'm literally imagining who I'm writing this for. The player, as I'm writing for them, or I'm imagining them playing it. Like I'm thinking about that player's strengths, uh, and how can I augment that? How can I give them something that they're going to really shine on? And so that's in my imagination as I'm writing. But here's a quote by a really famous classical composer in the 20th century. His name is uh, Sergei Prokofiev. And there's a quote. He says, "In my view, the composer, just as the poet, the sculptor, or the painter, is in duty bound to serve man, the people. He must beautify human life and defend it." And it's not too far away from what J.S. Bach wrote. And I'm paraphrasing, I don't have it in front of me, but he says that the purpose of music is for the glorification of God and for the edification of man. And so I think it's important, a lot of people write music from various vantage points, but to be aware of what is that vantage point that you're writing. People write love songs, and so they have this compassion, this I guess, emotion within them to, that they're thinking about that person that they're writing about. Um, some people write songs, especially these days. There's a lot of contemporary music being written out of anger. The injustice that they see in the world, or pain that they've felt. And that's not necessarily wrong. Um, I think that there can be, higher motivations, but I think that it's also, there was a master class, violin master class with Dorothy DeLay, and for those of you who don't know who that was, she was considered at one time to be the greatest violin teacher in the world, and she was teaching a class at Juilliard, and we were all sitting around in a master class, just 10 of us or so, and one of the students asked her, she says, "Miss DeLay," or he says, "Miss DeLay, what is performing?" And she paused and thought for a moment, looked up at the ceiling, and she says, "Performing is like telling the truth." And I think that that's probably the greatest, most poignant way of saying what I'm trying to say to you, is that um, be be honest with yourself, as to where you are in your motivation, and to the point where you can actually capitalize on what that is. Try to capitalize on your surroundings is what I'm trying to say. Both within you, what are you feeling? What are you sensing? What is this song going to be about? as well as who are the participants, and also who's the audience. And if you start from that vantage point of actually being honest with, this is why I want to write this song, then you'll start from a good, strong foundation for that creativity to come forth with authenticity. I mean, when you're writing song, there's most people don't just sit down and write to write, and I'll say that I have, I mean, I know that Bach and all the, great composers, basically there were moments of essentially no inspiration emotionally. They just basically said, okay, I got to get this material out and I'm going to do it. I've done that many times. And sometimes it turns out great, and other times it's just stuff, But so you don't always feel inspired. And I do maintain that that's the difference between a professional musician versus a amateur musician. Amateur musician is waiting to feel inspired. A professional musician is basically able to stir himself up for the purpose of the moment. But having said that, I do believe that songwriting is intimate, vulnerable. It's a place of vulnerability that you're exposing your thoughts and your feelings for the benefit of whoever is going to be involved in that. And so you really do have to start from a standpoint of authenticity and of awareness of your surroundings, as well as awareness of your own feelings, emotions, and motivation.